I'll probably never take it out of my repertoire. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts on growth hormone. What do you have to add?
No, no, I will say the the recovery aspect of growth hormone, I think, is probably one of the biggest benefits that a lot of people get to it. Um, I think too, we have like, just evidence, just like you said with that example from yourself, right? We're recovering, we're off pretty much everything, coming off a prep, and then bam, you add 2 units in, and your recovery within that week is, you know what I mean, much better. Um, I will say too with growth, aside from the recovery, it does help to like kind of keep fat cells at bay. So a lot of people will be able to eat more, right? Whether it's through an off season or even a prep. And well, really first off season, right? You'll be able to eat more, and you'll notice like a bit more muscular fullness, and like roundness with it, but also too like you're not as fat. Say like one off season, you're eating at the peak 5,000 calories, for example, right? And you notice your body fat got a little bit more. And then the next off season, sure, your composition is going to be different, but if your body's not going to be able to handle that much food the previous off season, but now you have growth hormone and you're noticing you're staying a little leaner, we have seen and we do know that growth hormone is known to do that, right? Keep fat cells at bay for um, as opposed to not, right? So I think other than that too, man, there is a component where it like helps people sleep deeper. I've
Yeah.
noticed too, that like when I take it at night, bro, I'm like in a deep sleep. Like sometimes
Yeah.
too, where like the point where I like wake up and I'm fucking groggy.
Yeah. A lot of people will actually take their full dose at night now. It's becoming more popular.
That's what I do.
Um, oh yeah.
Yeah, I just take
How
all
much do
four
you take?
units, four right before bed.
4. Yeah, I'm taking 6 right now, but I split it morning and night.
Morning and night, yeah. Yeah, just do all four
And
because
I've seen
obviously,
people with programs of like 16 units and they're just full sending it all at
ooh,
night.
damn, what the
It's fucking
fuck?
wouldn't wake up. Dude,
No, I was gonna say.
my arms would be asleep from the shoulders
I
down.
was gonna say my arms would have to get amputated off, bro. Like fucking wake up, they'd be dead for like 8 hours. Um, holy shit, dude. But so I think obviously all those are the benefits of growth. Now, the flip side to that, obviously, there's going to be risks, right? To every reward here. Um, obviously add on if I miss or forget anything or whatever you want to add on, but obviously, insulin sensitivity. The longer growth hormone goes on, the more the dose too, and the duration of it. People can become resistant, right? Insulin resistant. Um, Pretty much meaning like your body's just not going to want to handle carbohydrates as well anymore. And then people start to get, body fat much easier. But typically see that when food's higher too after prolonged use of growth. Um, and then um, carpal tunnel is a big one. Like Matt said too,
Well,
what'd you say?
dude, the first time I ever ran growth, I did pharmaceutical growth.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
God, dude, my carpal tunnel was so bad.
yeah. It wasn't your wrist, right?
My fucking both. I couldn't feel my hands, dude. I gotta go with those blue caps from now on. Those work wonders, and they don't make me
Bro,
numb.
yeah, bro. I remember the first time you took it, you were like, I remember too. We were on the phone. I think you called me, and you were like, "Dude, my arm was dead for like 4 hours. I had to like hang it off the bed." I think I remember you telling
Mm.
me. Um,
Yep, I did. I definitely hung it off the bed.
it's just,
It still happens sometimes. Yeah. I think
it's
it's more so for my body weight crushing me already.
yeah, well, like, yeah. I get it usually like in my left hand if I'm sleeping like this. It could be my head and my fucking neck just crushing my hand. But I noticed it too. Sometimes like my arms down, it'll just go numb, like when I'm sleeping. But um aside from that, man, right? Like that is a side effect, right? That we obviously want to make note of and touch on because, like, obviously that normal your fucking arms and feet tingling, but it is a known thing of growth hormone at times, and then carpal tunnel too, like we talked about, is can also occur. Um, what else you got for that?
Yeah. So a big one.
Benefits, risks, side effects.
So going back, I think we covered everything on the benefits. I mean, I think I don't know if there's like any data supporting it, but I have heard people growing back some hair from taking a lot of growth hormone, actually. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's from the cell regeneration part of it.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I think my hair did improve after I started taking growth hormone. Could be coincidental though, because I started, I don't know, I'm not going to get caught up in the timeline, but anyway, in terms of risks, so I mean, again, it does cause cell growth, cell regeneration. So risk associated with that is, if you have cancerous cells, it could potentially increase the rate at which those grow. Um, I don't know if the same is true for like any type of cyst or like, growth that somebody might get, which dude, the older we get, not that fortunately I haven't had anything like that, but like people I know that have like developed a cyst or something needing to get removed, it's like the human body is fucking weird. So just something to be cognizant of. Um, uh, shit, what else? Oh, I mean, it can make you kind of fucking ugly because I will say my nose definitely grew when I started taking growth hormones. So that sucks. And lastly, I mean, it does cause hyperplasia, which is your organs growing. So
Right.
I definitely am a believer of a lot of these guys that are blasting massive amounts of growth and, getting the lack of insulin sensitivity along with it, having these huge bubble guts. So I do think that plays a role in it for sure. Um,
I was actually, that's a really good point you brought up the bubble guts, right? So a lot of people, right, will see like, someone goes on stage and they see like someone like a man looks fucking 9 months pregnant, right? But like Matt said, sometimes too, like people are just abusing the growth and think shit inside is literally fucking growing. You know what I mean? And that's what is causing that. So that was actually a really good point you brought up. I didn't even think about that. Now, in terms of dosing, obviously, just this is a thing for everyone. We're not saying dosages to take or anything like that. Um, this is just strictly based off what Matt and I do and have done personally. So just to preface that, dosing
mhm.
wise, I
Yeah.
mean,
So yeah. So I would say it totally depends on the individual, like where they're at in their bodybuilding journey, how well they handle it, and how much money do they have. Because let's face it, growth is not cheap. Um, so generally, for somebody at, let's say they're getting into growth, I would honestly, for the anabolic effects, start them on 6 units. I mean, I might start them on four just to make sure that they're not like having some adverse reaction to it, but
right.
that's going to go to six very, very, very quickly. And that's probably where I would hold somebody, honestly. Now, somebody at like a national level, I would probably push that a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And myself, I've only ever went as high as 10. I don't even know. I might have only went to 8 units. I may have done
Yeah.
10 at some point, but um, and we're talking, at the pro bodybuilding level. But that being said, that there are plenty. Like when you're talking of like open bodybuilding, there are dosages I've heard much, much, much higher than that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Matt
and
and I
that's
can
that's
tell
for a
you.
male. That's for a male, by the way.
Yeah, males. Yeah. Yeah. We can. Yeah. We can. I've heard some people taking like fucking a whole bottle of Serostin every fucking day. Every
Many
fucking
units is in a bottle of Sarostin.
18.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, for sure,
Fucking
dude. That's
crazy,
so much fucking money.
bro. Those kits are like 700 to like $900.
Like, how do you even fucking afford that?
Fucking, that's all
This
you.
shit is not worth it, bro. This shit is not
No,
worth it.
no, no. That's completely right. Like,
750 a day.
bro,
Bro,
that's
unless you told me I'm gonna win the Olympia like this year, I'm not doing that shit. Because at least that'll pay for it. So
so real quick, I just want to do some math. If so, if there's
so if you took it
18,
every day for a year, it
so
would be
there's
270 grand.
there's there's uh there's 126 units, I believe, in a thing of Serostin. Because there's 7 bottles, and I think they're 18 units. So that's what, 126. So if you did that per day, 18, right? Times 365. That's 6,570 units you need for the whole year. Now
That's
divided by
270K.
divided by you need 53 kits. So 53 kits times we'll call it 750. Dude, literally 40 grand.
40 grand. Let's go for that.
Bro,
Anyway, that's so much money.
it's fucking
It's so much fucking money.
Hold on. Now you made me feel dumb. Hold on. I want to make sure I can do math. All right. So 18 units a day, right? And then 365. So it's 6,570 units, right?
How many units are in a kit?
126.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah, it's about $40,000 for a year supply.
Yeah, that's insane.
Fucking crazy. Um, Now, typically when you hear somebody using growth hormone, right? 1A and 1B, right? It's like 1 and 1A is typically insulin, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So let's transition into that, right? So obviously where there's growth hormone, most of the time there's insulin usage, right? For individuals. So you want to start that. Why we use it, what is it, how we use it.
But yeah, we talked about the potential risk of insulin sensitivity being impacted by being on growth. I will say, I've never seen it on somebody's blood work at the dosages that we just talked about. But one of the potential reasons of taking it is to mitigate that by injecting exogenous insulin, right? Whether
Yep.
it be long lasting or short lasting.
Yep.
Um, but the purpose, the role that insulin plays in bodybuilding, I mean, insulin itself is excreted from the pancreas. It's a hormone and it shuttles nutrients wherever it needs to go in the body. When I say nutrients, we're talking about, carbs, fats, and proteins, right? So the purpose, there's a couple of reasons there, right? Um, there are a couple of things that are typically done with insulin, and that's used around that peri-workout nutrition time. So pre, intra, and post workout to help drive more nutrients where all the blood in your body is at the moment where you're training, right? um, and one of the other things is like I don't think you're ever going to find like a study that helps support this because they're not doing studies on people who abuse performance enhancing drugs. But the theory is, why do fat people develop diabetes? It's because they're hammering the hell out of their pancreas with a ridiculous amount of food.
Yep.
What do? We hammer the hell out of our pancreas for a ridiculous amount of food. We're just not fat pieces of shit. So that's a lot of demand on your pancreas. The theory is that by supplementing with the exogenous insulin, you're taking some of the load off of your pancreas and in turn helping you be healthier. I will say, anytime I've implemented insulin, whether it be in my own protocol or a client's protocol, their blood work looks great from a glucose perspective, from a A1C perspective, right? I've only seen benefit from it. That being said, I haven't used insulin in like a year, actually.
Yeah, you have it, right? So
No, I haven't used it. Even when
no.
I was using like 6 units a day or something like
Yeah,
that.
very, very little. Yeah. So Matt kind of covered a lot of like the meat and potatoes and the bulk there, right? Like why we use it, the benefit and all that. So I will say first, right, man, like I think insulin gets such a bad rap for what bodybuilders use it for. Because of the dangers that can occur very quickly with the usage of it, right? Let me
Mm,
preface by saying this. You have to actually be a fucking idiot to die from insulin. Like
yeah,
you
I believe
have
it.
to be a fucking idiot to die from insulin. You have to, it's one of the things that you can't fuck around with, and you have to pay attention. If your coach tells you to take 4 units with your pre-workout meal, you can't say, oh, I ate my meal, I'm just going to take 4 units before the gym. No, you can't say, oh, I don't know where 4 units is and measure to the 40. You have you have
Yeah,
you
I think that's the most important piece is make
right
sure you know
is
how you're dosing it.
knowing how to do it, right? Make sure you have that if it's Matterhorn and we're coaching you, we will 100% make sure you know where to measure or mark anything.
I'll get on FaceTime with you and show you how
Yes.
much I take. Like I don't care.
Yeah, I've done, and I've done it before. I've been like, yo, like, even with PEDs, I'm like, yo, I'd be doing 25 milligrams of test a day as you're cruising. Like, we need to make sure you're taking the right amount, so we make sure your hormones are in a good spot on lab work and all that. Just fucking call me and we'll get on FaceTime. So we
Yep,
will we
yep.
will do that because especially with it, like you're not going to overdose from fucking testosterone, if if you're using insulin and we tell you like 4 units, you have to make sure that you're not measuring to the 40 or
Dude, how do you think you would feel if you injected like a whole bottle of test in one day? Your dick would explode. Yeah, literally.
Bro, that's what, 2,500 milligrams, or like 3,000 milligrams.
Yeah, it depends. It's 200, 250, 200, 250, or 300
Bro,
milligrams per milliliter.
I'm
Like,
not.
I wonder actually what would happen. I'm gonna try and wonder before I retire. Let me see what happens.
You're gonna
Make
call
sure
me.
Sam's home.
We're like
Make sure
six.
Sam's home, freshly showered and shaved.
We're like 67. You call me. You're like, Steve, it hasn't worked like this in 8 years, buddy. The whole. I finally did what we were talking about 30 years ago.
I'm just gonna send
Um,
you a picture of an empty bottle of test and like a bunch of fucking alcohol swabs. 10,
oh,
10, 10, 10, 10 needles.
oh, dude. Oh, anyway. So that pretty much covered why we use it, right? I think that when you are a bigger individual, you are eating a ton of food and you need to pound a lot of food in to grow and maintain weight and all that. Insulin, in my opinion, is honestly going to keep you in a healthier range in terms of your insulin resistance, your fasting blood glucose levels. You, even honestly, even your like performance in the gym.
I got better pumps and shit. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Blood flow and all that. Then if you don't use it, right? I mean, like you said too, dude, you've seen like people like it taking even small units of it, right? Pre and post, or around different meal times and all that. And we're talking here Humalog, right? We've seen benefits like literally people's blood glucose levels. Like I've seen people in like their blood glucose starting to creep into the mid to high 90s, and we're pushing food and literally starting like anywhere between like 3 to 8, 9, 10 units pre and post, maybe some with their first meal, and literally start to see them creep back into the 80s. You know what I mean? Because they're
Yeah, 100%.
like you said, we're taking stress off of the pancreas. Um,
Yeah.
Now, to kind of bring the insulin talk here and finish it off full circle, there are various types of insulin, right? You want to kind of go into that, right? Quick acting,
Yeah,
slow
yeah,
acting, all
yeah.
that.
So I think what's probably most popular in bodybuilding, at least right now, is quick acting. So you're gonna be like your Humalogs or your Novalogs. Um, and those are peaking in like 5 minutes, right? So you have to take that shit and eat your fucking food.
Right.
Then you have long acting like Lantus. I'm not sure of too many other brands for long acting, but those are I think starting to gain some popularity in bodybuilding. I personally don't use, I never have, and I have not like programmed for anybody, but I definitely can see a purpose in using it. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. Like Matt said, Humalog, Novolog, those are the quick acting ones. Those are pretty much the most popular, I'd say, right? Like you said, in common that we're seeing and use in bodybuilding. And like Matt said, that shit will start to work like 5, 10, 15 minutes. Um, and there that I believe Humalog, right, has a half-life, I think, of an hour. So it's gonna be like in and out in
Yeah.
2 hours. So you have to make sure obviously you're feeding around that window, right?
Hmm.
Right. So the other ones too, like Atlantis, right? I know that's like a 24-hour one. Some people will like take a dose of that in the morning and it'll literally last until the next morning. Um, Again, I've never used it. I don't really have people use it, right? I know you said same thing. So um, but with Humalog, how much food you have? Say, for example, I tell you, you're telling me, Steve, I want you to take 5 units. How many carbs are you gonna have me eat? Right. Just so people like have a reference.
So I forget. I haven't honestly. I haven't programmed people on for anybody in a while. I just don't have anybody at a point that needs it right now. But I forget. There is a general guideline for people with type 1 diabetes on how much per unit for carb to
Yep.
take. Is it like 20 carbs for like 1 unit or something like that?
Yeah,
I don't
dude. Yeah.
remember.
So
It's
you
been I have a matrix. I just haven't looked at it. But anyway, that being said, we're not diabetics, so we don't necessarily need to do that. Honestly, man, like I like to just start low and taper up like anything else. So I will start somebody maybe like 3 units pre and 3 post, and then taper
yep.
up from there to see how, no matter how high their food is, you know what I mean? But the thing is like the dosage doesn't dictate the amount of food. It's the food that dictates the dosage, right? Like if you're
Well
upwards of
said.
10 units or something like that pre, and you realize you're starting to go hypo, then you probably don't need to increase your food, right? You need to lower your dose.
Yeah, dude, that was honestly probably one of the most important things that you brought up in this whole insulin talk. You never want to increase your food to match an insulin dosage. You always want to increase insulin to match a food dosage, right? For those listening, right? Like Matt said, to elaborate here, meaning if your composition and your coach has you eating 100 carbs pre-workout and you notice that your coach starts to put some insulin in there, it doesn't mean that you want to go to 20 units of insulin and have to increase the food because your composition is already being compromised with that amount of food. Insulin's not going to help your body composition. It's going to help the way your pancreas is secreting insulin, how much it is, and like Matt said earlier in the conversation, the brunt of what the responsibility has to take on using your body's own pancreas that secretes to utilize that food, right? So you never want to, and I repeat, increase. You don't ever want to have an insulin dosage, and have to increase food to that. It's always insulin dose gets increased the food. So if it's 100 carbs, like Matt said, you might start someone at 3 units of insulin to give the pancreas, to take over, half to, almost all of that food where you don't need more, right? Right. You only want to use what you need to go with what you're eating currently. So that was honestly a really good point you brought up, dude. Probably one of the most important in my opinion, because
I'm sure there's people that are like, oh man, I'm doing hypo. I should probably
yeah,
try to increase my food.
yeah, and at the end of the day too, a lot of people don't need as much food as they think to grow. You know what I mean? Like you don't
Oh
need,
yeah, bro.
you
So
don't
one thing that has really like solidified to me, I'll text you actually after this. I put together I've been dieting for like 5 weeks, right?
Yep,
And I'm down 7 pounds.
yep,
And like when you see the transformation, it's pretty insane. But dude, like I'm stronger, I have more endurance, I'm growing. And my food was lower. I mean, my food was still high, but the whole point being is like I don't think my food really needs to be like it needs to be high, but it just needs to be like astronomically high for me to
yeah,
facilitate growth. So like next year, whether I'm still working with Jacoby or I'm like doing my own thing, I'm definitely gonna stay much leaner in the off season. Not that I ever got fat, but like I want to stay
right,
like I don't know with 10% body fat next year.
yeah,
I just
yeah,
I mean you coached me for long enough. You saw how well I performed at that really lean
yep. And we
that really
talked
lean.
about it. We talked about it on yesterday or the day before on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's for some reason, man, when the body's like a little bit leaner and food's like in that middle ground where it's not too high, but it's not too low. It's like the body just somehow just optimized, like is just
And
optimal.
that's like 4,000 calories for me.
It's a lot. It's a lot, dude. It's a lot.
But it's manageable for me to get down, to be honest. It's not that bad.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. I know you never told me like you're struggling to get it down. So
Not at all.
awesome. Awesome. That was a good one. Cool. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. We'll be back not next week, but the following. Continue to split and have some other couple. I might have to. I haven't bothered Sam in a couple of these, so I might have to bug her for some topics.
You picked good topics this time, so
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think the last two, man, I've been like brainstorming on cardio in the morning. I'm like, oh, these are probably good topics. So
there you
we got like a week and a half to because today's Thursday, dude. I thought it was like Monday or Tuesday. We always do it early in the week.
go. Gotta shoot myself if it was. I would not be happy if it was Monday.
No. But everyone, thanks for listening, and we will be back in a couple weeks.
Yep, later, guys.
Oh, that was a good one, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a picture.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna always one.
Dude, I hope this was recording from the beginning because it like said recording and then didn't and then did again.
Interesting. Whatever.
But like it just showed up consistently right before we started talking about growth hormone and insulin. So it's like I'm not getting many